Hello, Facebook Live. Hello, Instagram. Hello, YouTube. Good morning. How's everybody doing? This is take 2 on my Facebook on my live. Saturday morning here at the restaurant. A couple deliveries coming, hopefully I won't get interrupted again. So, I want to talk about the first wild harvested food of the year. A lot of you know that I like to forage wild mushrooms. I do a lot of maitakes in the fall time, morels in the springtime, and fiddleheads when they're in season in the spring. And I harvest a lot of shaga for myself for shaga tea. So I'm out in the woods all the time running, which I'm getting ready to do now. And so I'm around all these amazing Mother Nature's gifts that are out in the woods. So I want to talk about the first wild harvested food of the year. Happens every year, and it happens about the end of this year. Started happening about the end of January, and into January. It's still going on right now. It'll go until about maybe April or so. It just all depends upon the weather. It's all weather. Of course, the forest floor will be turning green here in another few weeks. By the end of March, hopefully beginning of April, we'll start seeing a lot of green growing, and that's always exciting. So it's just, one of those awesome times of the year where winter's over and spring is here, and we can start thinking about gardens, and farmers can start doing their thing, and we can start having farmers markets. So this wild harvested food, the year's first wild harvested food, what exactly is it? It is maple water. Maple water, not quite a food, but a beverage. This is the same stuff that you make maple syrup with. So, of course, this is the sap right from the tree. If you were to take this and reduce it all the way down, if you've made maple syrup before, you know that a lot of sap cooked down very slowly makes a very little maple syrup. But did you know that you could actually drink the water straight from the tree? It's not nearly as sweet as maple syrup, of course, because it's not condensed. The residual sugar on here, I think, is like 2% or something. But this is loaded with minerals, tons and tons of minerals, and it's a raw food. You don't cook it, you consume it. It's a fresh beverage. You consume it from the tree. It'll stay a few days in the refrigerator, and I think a week or so. Mine never lasts that long. We have people that tap trees, friends that bring us several gallons, and I usually drink it right away. It has a very, very slight sweet taste. If you've never had this before, definitely have this. Now, here's the word of caution. If you go to the store now, this is a big product in the stores. A lot of stores are actually selling, a lot of brands are out there selling maple water, just like coconut water. So you can actually go find this in the stores, bottled up, semi-pasteurized, lightly pasteurized, however they want to do it. Do not typically consume that. That's not what you want to be consuming. What that is, folks, when you make maple syrup, you have a lot of byproduct. Just like when you make cheese, you have all the whey that falls off, and you have this whey, and what do you do with the whey? So they have the byproduct of maple syrup. So they have this leftover water. Now, this water that they do is typically what all the maple syrup producers do. They clean their machines with it, and they discard this water. But there's a couple companies out there that are saying, well, no, let's take this maple water, this leftover byproduct of the maple syrup industry, and start bottling it. I've heard from several maple syrup people that you do not want to consume this. That's not the same as this, not nearly the same health benefits as sap right out of the tree. It is a leftover byproduct, and it's not meant to be consumed. It's meant as a cleaning agent to clean the machinery and stuff like that and discard it. So I don't know of any maple syrup producers that will actually drink that. Companies come in and actually buy that water and then put it into packages and actually sell it. So avoid that type of water in the store. Of course, each brand is different, but all the couple brands that I've seen at the health food expos are all saying the same thing. Do not are all the same process. It's a leftover water. So the first harvested food of the new year is maple water here in the Northeast. It is awesome. You can drink it straight from the tree. It is fresh. Do not cook it. And again, of course, this makes maple syrup. If you're just tuning in, this is what makes maple syrup. When you reduce this all the way down to almost next to nothing, that's what gets your maple syrup. We have friends that bring us this water. I don't tap trees personally. But we have friends who bring us several gallons every year of this. And again, you can drink it this is straight from the tree. So a couple of events coming up here at the restaurant, really cool events. I see Bill is on. Hi, Bill. How's it going? Hi, Michael. Good morning to everybody who is on. I appreciate the views. We had a great event last night at Rabibero Winery. I did my risotto demo. Had a really, really, really awesome event there. Had, I don't know, about 20 or so people show up for that. A lot of really great wine, great food. Got to a lot of people that lived on that side of the mountain were there. Everybody who lives on everybody who came was from that side of the mountain, so it was really good. A lot of our guests. So thank you for that support, everybody. We really appreciate that. We'll be doing more winery events this year. We're working on one up in the Finger Lakes. Somebody wants to get away for the Finger Lakes for the weekend or the night. We're working with Ravine's Winery right now. Ravine's Winery is an amazing winery on Seneca Lake. Really, really awesome winery. We were just with Lisa the other day. She's the owner. Her and her husband own it. They're making some world-class wines in the Finger Lakes at their winery. Two of their last 5 or so vintages of Riesling have actually made Wine Spectator's top 100 list. Not top 100 for New York State, not top 100 for the U.S., top 100 for the world. We have their Chardonnay, which is amazing Chardonnay. They actually take a percentage of the grapes and dry them, raisinate them, and then press them just like you would make Amarone with in northern Italy, and then make the Chardonnay that is just so amazingly beautiful. They have their Bordeaux-style blend, which is just insanely good. So Ravines, we have a lot of their wines on our list. Ravine Cellars from up in the Finger Lakes. They have 2 tasting rooms. One up in Geneva and one near there somewhere. 2 tasting rooms. So if you're up there, definitely stop and see them. We're going to be doing an event up there. We're working on the dates with Lisa. We tried to do last year and we just couldn't get it to work. We're doing a lot of catering this year, and we're busy doing a bunch of catering this year. We have a lot of catering, a lot of weddings booked, so we just have to figure out a great weekend to break away and go up to the Finger Lakes to do that. But around here, we'll do some more wine dinners as well at wineries, so stay tuned for stuff like that. So Bill, if you're still on, Bill, don't know if you're still on watching us on Facebook, but again, everybody, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. So we're doing a great event. We call it Rare Beer Friday. Rare Beer Friday is where we take one of our rare beers that we have in house. We have a lot of really cool vintage dated older beers. Yes, beers do age if they're the proper alcohol percentage. If they have higher alcohol, they age beautifully a lot of times. So we have these amazing 3 philosophers from a while back that we are going to do Rare Beer Friday. And Rare Beer Friday is the 13th of March. Basically, you come in and get a rare beer. You buy one of these beers and you get a free cheese plate. We give you a nice cheese plate from a local cheese. It's not a regular cheese plate. It's a new cheese plate for that night. And we use one of our local cheese suppliers. There's tons and tons of local cheese. It's really fantastic what's happening here in the Hudson Valley. So we're thinking about adding another cheese plate on, or more cheese offerings, because it's just so much cheese out there. So that's the 13th. Friday the 20th is our Southern Italian wine dinner. We're going to retrace our steps through Southern Italy. Jamie and I were there last November. We're going again this November. We have a few spots left to go on that trip. If you want to go, then we're going to be serving our favorite wines and food from that region, from Southern Italy. It is the Apulia, the heel of the boot is an amazing, amazing area. Just really, really awesome. That's why we're going back there. We're taking our guests. Jamie and I went by ourselves and then did a lot of research for the next trip and just wanted to visit a lot of the wineries that we buy from. One of our missions here is to every wine that we pour by the glass is to have a winery that we've actually personally been to. So there's a story and we understand. And Jamie and I have been to a couple wineries now going through Spain and Italy that we've actually stopped buying from because it just really wasn't what we thought the winery was. The way it was presented to us by the salesperson here and this or that or whatever we assumed. We get there and it's a massive co-op doing 8 million bottles, or, it's just, so there are some wineries that were like, not really our cup of tea, not that family run operation that we like to support, a massive company or whatever it was, or maybe the winery was sold to another company. And so there are some wineries that we've stepped into like, oh, wow, I didn't realize this is what we were buying from. So we've taken them off the list, and we're supporting more of the family-run, small family wineries. So that's what you're finding throughout our list, especially with all the new ones coming aboard. In fact, all the new wines that we buy by the bottle are all wineries we've actually been to. So probably about 75% of the list of the wines, of our 200 wines, are wineries I've actually personally been to, that we can tell you in depth about the winery, the story. We know the owners, we know what's going on. It's really cool, and that's our mission on our wine list. We have a lot of new spirits coming in now that the spring is here. Jamie and I have been going to a lot of tastings, so stay tuned for a lot of really cool whiskeys and bourbons and ryes. There's so many awesome, cool producers. One of the first things we do to vet a bourbon producer or a whiskey or a rye producer, one of the very, very, very first things that we do is we pick up the bottle. Or when I go, we were just at a big tasting on Monday, huge tasting, and there must have been like 30, 40 bourbons and whiskeys and ryes there. And the first thing we do is I go to the table and I ask the person behind the table, are you a bottler or are you a distillery? Two major differences. Are you a bottler or a distillery? People like Angel's Envy is a bottler. Widow Jane, they're bottlers. Tito's Vodka, they're a bottler. They just bottle the product. They don't make the product, they just bottle the product. We want to buy from a company that's actually has the distillery facilities and is actually making the product and bottling the product. So that's the one big difference that we look for when we buy our product. There are a couple big companies in America, like Midwest Grain Products, where any of us, this is what Widow Jane did, and this is what Angel's Envy does, and a lot of big companies are doing this, and small companies. They actually go to a company like Midwestern Grain Products, and they buy barrels of pre-made whiskey, and they bring the barrels to their facility, and they wait another year or so, or 2 years, or 3 years, and sometimes they'll put it in a second barrel and put it, in a port finished barrel. But a lot of times you just take this and they just put it into their bottles, and they bottle it as their own label on it. And if you turn over the back side of the label, you'll see very carefully in small print, distilled by MGP, Midwest Grain Products, or distilled in Indiana, bottled by so-and-so company, Brooklyn, New York. And that's how you can differentiate right away if they're actually producing the product that's going in there. A lot of companies will start buying barrels and then switch over to their own product once they catch up. Because let's face it, to make whiskey, bourbon, or rye, it takes 3-4 years. It's not something you can just open a distillery right away and have product. So some people use that as a transition product, as a phasing product, so they at least have something on the market. And then all of a sudden you wonder why their product changes 4 years later. That's why, because they're now making from their own recipe. Distilleries that open that make vodka can obviously have much more turnover because vodka doesn't age and gin doesn't age. So a lot of distilleries, like when Hudson started out here, Tuttletown, they had a lot of vodkas. They had their vodka on the line. They had 2 separate vodkas. And this was before their actual whiskeys hit the market, because vodka doesn't age. So that's one way to check and make sure that you're buying from a whiskey producer and not just a bottling company. Because any of us today can call MGP and say, hey, send me 4 barrels of your rye that's 95.5, which is the same stuff that Angel Envy is. The same exact stuff that Angel Envy charges $125 for. It's the same stuff. All of us have access to that same stuff in barrels and wholesale form, and then we can just put it into bottles and do whatever we want. We can extra age it, put it out, however we want. We'll do double aging, double barrels. So that's the way the whiskey business works, the distillery business works. And I mentioned Tito's. Tito's is in fact a bottler. Tito's, if you go to Tito's facility in Texas, there's no grain, there's no silos, there's no mashers, there's no fermenters, because they are not distilling the product. They're only bottling. They're buying a product from MGP in Kansas, neutral grain spirit, bring it to their facility, running it through their pot stills, so they consider it called small batch. That's how they get away with the word small batch, and run it through these small distills. So they just run it through and then pop it into the bottle and put it and then send it to market. And that's the one way he has scaled that business to a massive, massive, massive company, Tito's. So if you like Tito's, that's the backside story of Tito's. A lot of companies do that, so it's not totally wrong. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be drinking those or bashing those companies, but it's nice to know when you're supporting somebody who's independent, who's local, who's doing the right thing, who has its own distillery, things like that. So when you come into our place, everything but one brand right now is a distillery. They're all but one. Yeah, we just have one brand that uses an MGP product, and it's a local company. I really like the guy, the owner of it. He answers the phone every time I call. I see him at all the trade shows. Really responsive. It's really awesome. And then as far as that, everything else that we have as far as whiskey wise, they come from the actual distillery. So this is a side step to what we were talking about. So yeah, if you're just tuning in, folks, thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this live, drop a comment, #live. If it's on the replay, #replay. And I was just mentioning the first wild harvested food of the year, which is maple syrup, maple water. Maple water is something you can consume right from the tree. This maple water here, maple sap, will reduce down, if you cook it slowly, reduce all the way down to almost nothing, will become maple syrup. This is maple syrup. It's in its infancy. This comes right from the tree, the maple tree, and it's the first wild harvested food of the year. Spring is coming. It's really awesome. So you can actually drink this. You do drink this just like you would consume maple syrup. You don't drink, obviously, a glass of maple syrup, but the maple water is delicious. It's slightly sweet. It has about 2% residual sugar in it. The health benefits are immense. The roots of the maple tree dig way down into the earth, and they pull all these great minerals, all these awesome minerals get pulled out through the roots and then go into the tree and get pulled into the water. So this is extremely nutrient dense water. So that's the awesome thing about maple water. It's very, very nutrient dense. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm actually going to go for a run here, probably through the woods. So I appreciate all the support on the live here. Thank you very much. And talk to we have live music tonight, Brian Gordon. We have a lot of stuff going on. I mentioned some other things. So Brian Gordon is here live tonight at 8-ish. So you can come see Brian. We're open all day. We open at noon today. 11 a.m. tomorrow. If there's any other restaurant owners out there, I will be speaking in New York City on Sunday and Monday at the restaurant show. Doing some psychology marketing speeches, a gluten-free speech, and an email strategy speech. So those are the 3 speeches I'm doing in New York City. So if there's any other restaurant owners out there, anybody going to the food show, stop by and say hello to me. You can go to marcusguiliano.com and check out all my speeches that I'll be doing, all my presentations, and that's at the New York International Food Show. That happens Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, but I speak Sunday, Monday. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for all the support, and we'll talk to you later.